Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Vern's Misadventures. So it's been a minute since I uploaded, and I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce you to a few new things that we got for the channel. So let's jump into that. Let's see, what's new since we talked last? I got this Tandy 1400 LT. It works great. There's really not much to be done as far as repair. I've cleaned it up, and it's pretty decent. There is a rattling sound coming from the monitor area, the screen area. So we will probably be bringing this on later in another episode to kind of do a little bit of maintenance and maybe figure out what's rattling around in there. But it is a working computer. Now this Atari 800 will turn on. Some of the keys seem to work. Along with it came this Atari 410 program recorder. I'm not sure that works. I got this emulator here. Obviously it needs to be retrobrighted. It's got some horrible yellowing going on the tape deck as well as the Atari itself. And I was able to get this Commodore PET, and I picked up a data set for it. I also got a few pieces of software from The Future Was 8-Bit to use in that tape recorder, and I got the SD to PET. I got this Commodore 64 bread bin. It turns on to a black screen, so we're going to have to go through this and figure out why it doesn't work. I have a replacement keyboard for this. It is missing a key. So I thought that's why it was so cheap, was because it was missing a key. As it turned out, untested in this case definitely meant unusable. The Commodore 64 came as a set with the printer, the MPS 803, as well as a 1541 floppy disk drive. So I was able to, just with some glass cleaner and some magic eraser, things like that, I was able to clean these. They're very much better than what they were. The Commodore 64 is going to need some retrobright for sure, and I'll probably go ahead and run the drive through as well. I don't think the printer's going to need it. Maybe it will, maybe not. I got this as an addition to my compact stack. This is a compact LTE Elite 440CX. So I believe it is a 486. It does turn on, but like so many of these compacts, it's going to need the battery replaced, which I believe is going to be a Dallas chip, but I'm not entirely sure, having not taken it apart yet. It's going to need a floppy disk drive serviced because I was unable to load the setup disk, so I can't read the disk, in other words. So without being able to run the setup disk, it's really kind of a brick. So it's a nice looking machine. I hope I can fix the floppy drive to where it'll work, because until we can do that, there's not a whole lot we're going to be able to do with this thing. I got a TI 99. It's a beautiful machine. I did work with the keys for a while to get them loosened up. It was just repeating, almost every key I touched repeated. So I pulled the caps off of them and sprayed some deoxit down in there, and I actually got it to be usable. Now, whether it's going to revert, having sat for several days unused, I don't know. We'll find out as we get back into it. I got the Final Ground 99 cartridge so that we can run some software on it. I got this little guy here. This is an adapter, so I can use my Atari style joysticks with it. It turns on, it has a beautiful screen. This is an Osborne 1. This is probably the first portable computer, certainly regarded as such. This is a working example. I do need to get it apart and take the refuzz and replace those with something else before it puffs smoke at us. I don't know if the drives work. I don't have any boot discs yet. I'm either going to have to buy some or make some. But that's an upcoming project. Should be interesting. I got this VIC-20. It seems to work okay, but definitely have some VIC-20 content coming up. So, this brings us to the subject of today's video. I think we're all caught up with all the new arrivals. This is an Amiga 500. Now, it is missing the escape key right here. It was pretty dirty. I did a lot of scrubbing on it. It looks a whole lot better than it did. Like I say, it's got this missing escape key. I ordered one when I bought the computer. However, I didn't know it was going to have the what they call the Space Invader keyboard in it. Serial number CA1036802. I was able to power it on. I finally got my video converter that I needed for it. It came in just yesterday. When I bought it, the ad or the listing said that it was 80% operational because the floppy disk drive had a read-write error. The seller said that he had cleaned it and it was operational. Well, that proved to be pretty accurate with my experience, was because I was able to turn it on once. I booted into Workbench. I had the one floppy disk for Workbench, and it booted once. I played around with it a little bit, set the clock, blah blah blah. Wasn't much else I could do because I don't have any other floppy disks for it. And I turned it off, and I thought later on, I'm going to turn it on again, play around for it some more. And when I turned it on, it wouldn't boot the floppy anymore. So kept getting read-write errors. So that was fun. So that's fine. When I bought it, I went ahead and bought this GoTek, and it's supposedly specially built to work in the Amiga 500. So should be plug and play basically. So we're going to see if that's the case. Shouldn't need to. Look at that, that's fun. It's just hanging by a thread. Huh. So I cheated and looked at the flash drive that I opted to buy with it. And yeah, they hooked us up with quite a few ADFs. So we should be able to use this right out of the box, assuming we can get it installed and that it works. So let's go ahead and do the rest of the video of putting the GoTek in this thing and maybe playing around with it a little bit. So we're going to need to turn it over and remove these screws so that we can open it up. This does have some sort of an expansion plugged into it at the bottom. You know, it has Torx bits here, Phillips in the middle, more Torx on the outside. That's fun. I wonder if any screws are hiding in here. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Wow, it's all wrapped up, isn't it? Oh yeah. Hiding inside here, we have us what looks like a VARTA battery. We're going to want to open this up and probably remove that. Looks like I'm going to have to desolder right here to get into it. The memory expansion still worked, because it did show about a megabyte of RAM. So I'm thinking maybe it hasn't leaked yet, or at least it hasn't caused enough damage for it not to work. But at any rate, we'll get into that later. Right. There's no telling what we might find when we get this thing open. So I don't know for certain, but I think that might be it. So let's see if they can get the top off of it now. Alright, so far so good. So, looking at the outside versus the inside, it has yellowed some. It's not extreme. It might benefit for some retro bright though. it might get that. We'll see. Well, the zip tie is facing the rear. That's one way to look at it. So we pulled it out. Let me see here. Oh, black on the left and this purplish thing on the right. Alright, looks like if we could just remove this ground strap, we could probably get the keyboard separated. Oh, there's the plastic. Okay. Kind of set that aside there. Get that ground strap out of our way. And we're well on our way to getting the floppy out already. How about that? So with that done, we can remove that. We take the keyboard out of the way. Alright, so what do we do next? Okay, look at here. We got a broken standoff piece of one. I'm not real sure where that came from. Pull that tab up there straight. Pull this tab up straight. That's helpful. So are these the same size? They seem to be. Definitely want to make sure I'm on video here. That one's a little smaller. It came out of here. Okay, that's a little bit twisted. We'll get that straightened out here. That's better. Now that could come off. Alright, so this part here that goes over this expansion port of some sort, there's some connectors on the back of the machine that need to have the screws taken out. I think I remember seeing Jan Beta do that. If we get these all out of there. Okay, that's all the little screws that I can see. We can get this up high enough to get the floppy out of the way. That's fun. Disconnect the power. And on the other side of the cable. Alright, well, floppy drive's out. What are the odds of getting this little snap tab here to come loose without breaking it? I think we did it though. Okay. And with that done, so it'll slide this way and come out of there, but it's not doing it. So I'm not real sure where we're holding up at. Okay, we'll just try to keep moving slowly. No rip, pull, tear stuff here. Nope, I moved a bit there. There we go. Alright, so we have separated the motherboard from the rest of the case. That's going to need to be washed out. Oh, okay, so we got a little bend tab here that we didn't see before. Yeah, here it's coming. There we go. Let's see if it comes off now. Now it'll come off. How about that? How about that? Alright, well, good news. I don't see any kind of battery damage. Look at this. Look at that processor, will you? That's a 68,000 right there. That thing is huge. Awesome. Okay. And so under here is a little plastic sheet. So I guess while we got it apart, we clean it up a little bit. Should we start with the board? I guess we'll start with the board. I can clean this up elsewhere. So there's Denise, there's Paula, there's Gary, and here is Fat Agnes. The whole gang is here. Okay, so this little connector here, red's on the left side, looking at it from the front of the machine. The twisted part went to the floppy. The straight part went to the board. The red line faces the right side of the machine on the floppy cable. With those out of our way, I guess we can do some cleaning. I'm not seeing any evidence of leaking or bulging or any of that on these calves. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that they're within spec, but there's no obvious physical signs of failure. I don't have one of those removers for Fat Agnes. I believe there might be a hole in the bottom of the board. Yeah, there is. You can kind of poke something in there to push her out of there. I don't think I'm going to fool with it, because I really don't want to replace that socket, and if without a known reason to remove or to fool with that and break it, I'm not going to do it. Oh dear, I just realized I'm not wearing my strap. That's fun. I don't know for certain, but I don't think these are quite as static sensitive as some of the older stuff. Like the stuff in the pet over there, that's very static sensitive. Try to reseat the socketed chips and clean your sockets with a little deoxit. Make a big mess. That's important if you're going to do this, that you don't do it this way, because there are traces that run under the chips and you can scratch the board like that. So you don't want to go in and then lift up in such a manner that you're gouging down into the board. It sounds a little crusty, doesn't it? Probably wouldn't hurt to shoot a little deoxit in there. Ooh. Yeah, it's a new can. I don't know what to expect from it. There we go, Miss Paula. Okay, well, hopefully we didn't break anything. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna not fool with that. Let's hit all these though. Alright, so off camera I scrubbed this out a little bit, wiped it down with some napkin, alcohol, all the fun stuff. We'll set this back in here. Kind of like so. We can set this down. Alright, I'm going to take all this into the shower, clean it up.
You knew I was in here. You's a nasty, common freak.
Alright, so now that this is all cleaned up, we can put it back together here. We'll just put this back in there. Moving as slow as possible. Okay, we'll put the floppy drive in place. Now, what I wanted to do is I want to go ahead and pull these standoffs off of the floppy disk drive, because I don't like the plastic ones. I want to use the original screws. Looks like the height's just about right. Let's run with it. Get these stupid plastic ones out the way, and we'll put this right in there. Freaking thing's too short.
I find you unacceptable.
Luckily I had a longer floppy cable in my hoard, so I was able to put a longer one on there. Let's hook up the power to the motherboard. Hey, look, it works. So I didn't read the instructions or anything, and of course, so I'm just kind of poking around at it. Didn't realize it had an auto boot, where it had an actual file explorer built into the GoTek, which is really cool. I should say loaded on the GoTek. It's not built in. Yeah, there's the file selector. How about that? Alright, let's put it back together. Alright, with the computer back together, it was time to move on to getting that expansion module taken apart, get that battery out of it before it could leak all over everything. So I just used the braid, got the solder off, and got it opened up. There's our battery. There's the Destroyer of Worlds. We'll just give it a little snip here. Almost.
We got it!
So it's going to clean it up real good right there. There's some stains in the case. It didn't really look like the battery was leaking. Maybe somebody replaced it before. I don't know. That it's out of there. It's not going to leak on anything now. I find no real reason to replace that battery because I don't really care about my Amiga keeping proper time. So we'll just get this cover cleaned up a little bit, put it back on. Solder it back up. Good to go. Not the right tool, but it'll work for this. There she is, back in her home. Alright. So, with that, it should be all fixed up here. One other thing I did off camera was I had mentioned that I ordered another escape key. It's coming off. So what I did was I cut the shaft or post out of the middle of it. It didn't fit my machine. And I wadded up some masking tape. And look at here. I won't say good as new, but better than it was. Yeah, that'll hold it place until I can find the right key cap for this keyboard. Alright, looking here at the side, you'll see that it says Auto Boot. Alright, so we'll select Auto Boot, we'll turn it off. Okay, now we'll turn it back on. It should go into the file selector. Alright, I think I had been missing a step here, so let me see here. Oh, we're going to go to Help. So F7 will insert the selected file into slot 1 and restart the computer with this disk. So that's what I want, is F7. So escape out of that. And I press enter. Alright, so if we go down here to, let's try Arkanoid again. Revenge of Doe. So that'll be F7. Saving selection, rebooting. Okay, so we use the mouse, click on Start Game. Oh, Arkanoid. Alright, it does plan to do something, right? Yeah, okay, here it goes. I guess I gotta click the mouse again. It wants me to use the mouse, I guess. So anyway, that's how that's done. And I want to thank you all for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. And if you enjoyed what you saw, I would like to invite you to subscribe to the channel. Click that notification bell so that you'll be notified when I get around to uploading my next video, which has been way too sporadic here of late. At any rate, thanks for watching, and y'all take care.